if we did a deal with Tiger Woods and he was wearing that swing progression crew neck in a PGA Tour event or like at the Masters tournament, how many of those things would we sell?
I think we'd have like a Tiger swing progression crew neck like factory. I think outside of a factory, you'd actually see the logo lit up like the X in San Francisco.
Foreplay presented by Barstool Sports. We have the full squad: myself, Frankie, Trent, and Dan. Only 3 more shows left this entire year. A little programming note: we got a show coming out. Obviously, right now you're listening to it on Tuesday. Show coming out Thursday. Show coming out next Thursday, and then the following show will be, I believe, January 4th. So we're getting close to the end of the year here. Our last work trip of the year was last week. Bahamas, good, the whole deal. We're going to start 2024 with, I would say, 3 complete bangers that we've got in the holster. Well, we got more than that actually because we filmed with a bunch of different people. But Tiger Woods, good, all kinds of hot stuff coming out. And then I'm rocking Squire Creek. We went to Sam Burns' hometown. We flew into what? Monroe, Louisiana. Is that where we flew into a couple weeks ago?
Yep.
And we played we haven't really done this before. We played Sam Burns at his home course where he lives, where he plays all the time. We shot guns. Frankie shot a gun for the first time. It was kind of an immersive experience. He very much impressed us in a lot of different ways, I have to say. So that video is coming out. I think we're doing like a Wednesday night release for the Sam Burns video on our YouTube channel.
I think that might be the play, is the Wednesday night release. Okay. We never know when to release videos anymore. We just had a 25-minute discussion about it pre-show, but we're still trying to figure it out. We're meeting guys like Good and all these other YouTube brands. They just do shit differently than us, and we're just fucking trying to survive. You know, we're wading waters right now.
Yeah, we did a Saturday release in the middle of, I think, every sporting event in history was going on concurrently at the same time, and then we put our video out during that. So if that doesn't tell you, a nice peek behind our curtain, I don't really know what does. So we're gonna try to be better. Wednesday night, we're gonna try to release it when people can actually view it and are not just surrounded by NFL and UFC and Premier League soccer. So everything's going on Saturday, and then we put our video out. So Sam Burns, we love Sam Burns, fantastic guy. This podcast is presented by our great friends at Chevrolet. I know we're kind of talking about the end of the year and wrapping up in the holidays, so it'd be hard for me not to say that Chevy's been our presenting sponsor for the entire year. They're very involved in the Barstool Classic. We love Chevrolet. We love the fact that they're at the forefront of the EV game, doing it for over 10 years, making cars for over 100 years, but Chevy came in. They really bought into what we do. We spent time with them. I've played rounds of golf with some of their marketing folks who have been a big part of the push to get behind what we do. So we love Chevrolet. Whenever I see the bow tie out there, going to NASCAR, we've told that story a bunch, but just realizing how iconic and how tied to everything auto and auto excellence Chevy has been forever. We love it. That's why we like to go to Chevy.com/electric.
That's a big name to be tied to the boys. You know, we've been doing this a long time. The sponsors come and go, but having a big name like Chevy, that just motivates us to do more, to do better. And they've been doing that in the EV space with all their new cars. But yeah, it's just just thinking of Chevrolet, that's an American pillar. That's like one of the greatest companies to ever exist. And the fact that they were like, oh yeah, we'll be the presenting sponsor of the Foreplay Golf podcast. That's pretty cool, man.
It's iconic.
I was looking at one of their ads that popped up on the Score app, and it caught my eye because it was just said, "Where the road ends, adventure begins." And they were promoting their new ZR2 family of trucks, and it's just like in the picture was just like a Chevy coming through the rubble, where like one wheel was up on its axis, like going over fucking mountains essentially, and you're just like, they just know what they're doing over there, man. Like that made me want to be like, get my hands dirty outside and just like be a man, you know? I just wanted to like go do shit to sit inside.
You do have with the electric vehicles, you got less routine maintenance, but if you need maintenance on your Chevy EV, they've got technicians that are EV certified, over 1,900 certified EV dealerships and over 5,550 EV trained technicians. Go learn more at Chevy.com/electric. That's Chevy EVs at Chevy.com/electric. We got a lot to talk about on today's show, actually. We've got Tiger Woods, Charlie Woods, the PNC, which delivers every year. You know, it's very nice in the middle of, we've still got these talks going on. it feels like some bombshell news is about to drop at any moment between the PIF and the PGA Tour. And there's been so much chatter over years now about money ruining the game, fractures in golf. And then the PNC really is, without getting too, cheeseball about it, it's legit, like rich, famous golfers out there with their kids just having the most pure time at playing golf. They're getting emotional. There's tears out there with Annika and her family and Charlie and Tiger. When Charlie chipped in on like the 9th hole, you could legitimately see Tiger was like, but I've never seen him that happy. He's just smiling and so excited that Charlie's going to have that moment. So it really is just around the holidays, during Hanukkah, a week before Christmas, you get just this wholesome, family-oriented event that, again, we're not necessarily a cheeseball type show all the time, but it's hard not to just truly enjoy watching that.
It's the event that produces the most, this is what it's all about, tweets and Instagram posts. When an event like that, when every account, and we did it as well, I saw it, they say, this is what it's all about. It's not about golf. It's not about money. It's not about being rich and famous. What it's all about is getting out there with your kids and playing the game of golf.
It really is a reminder of just how like cyclical and repetitive golf Twitter is in general. It's the same thing every single year. And you can schedule out the tweets where this is what it's all about. Yep. And then you'll get the snarky guy who's like, Charlie Woods is 14 years old. You need to let him like grow up at his own pace. And why are we not focusing on the longers? Why aren't we focusing about the Duvals? It's like if they took the par 3 contest at the Masters and turned it into like a whole week long thing. And there actually was a guy this year who wrote the column being like, the Masters par 3 contest is bullshit. This is not about golf. I don't want to watch these kids frolic around with their parents. It's the same thing every year. It's the same thing every single year.
I do think we have gone through all of this so many times that it is all so predictable. It really is. It's not even that interesting anymore. And I'm not saying that about this PNC event. I'm saying about all of it, because everything, all the reactions are predictable. I know how people are going to react. I know that this is what it's all about. I know that people are going to be like, it's weird that we're following this 14-year-old golfer. And then there's going to be a backlash to the backlash where they're like, his dad is famous. He's Tiger Woods. Of course he's going to be in the spotlight. And then those other people are going to go back to them and be like, just fucking, it's all the same thing. And I know we're putting a weird spin on the PNC Championship right now, but that's really what it is every year now.
Well, it's also anybody who says like, why are we so focused on the longers instead of, would that be like, why is everybody focused on Kylie Jenner and not the girl down the street? That it's like, well, they're just the most famous people in the world. Like,
right.
He's the most famous person to ever get anywhere near a golf course ever. His son has exact mannerisms and swing like Rory. Like, so we're fucking focusing on that, obviously. But it is rinse and repeat. It's been 4 years of this now. So you do know what you're going to get, yet you still get the clip. You still get JT out there like he's putting balls in people's pockets. They don't fly away. You do get the very predictable stuff. But yeah, no matter what, it's nice to see Tiger out there with Charlie. And it was weird that Charlie wasn't. This is the first year, I believe, that he didn't just wear exactly what Tiger wore. He was wearing Grayson. We had Larry Fitzgerald put out like "Welcome to the Grayson team," which Charlie's 14 years old, so I don't know how he could be on like team. He's a freshman in high school, I think. So him being like having like an apparel deal maybe with Grayson, and then he wasn't wearing the red with Tiger on Sunday, which he'd always done before. So now he might be going through a little bit of a rebellious streak, it feels like. So yeah, it's just, there's a lot to break down from this thing.
I'd say for me, the most interesting takeaway from this weekend was the talks about Tiger potentially not being with Nike anymore.
Yeah.
They asked him that after the Friday round about like, because I guess that deal is potentially up. I don't know the inner workings of it, but they were like, is your deal coming to an end with Nike? And he gave just a weird 5-word answer where he was like, I'm wearing their apparel right now. And then they asked him another question.
Did you see the clip?
I didn't. It was a lot like a Marshawn Lynch. I'm just here so I don't get fined.
Dude, the clip was like, I've seen that look from Tiger Woods many times. That's the don't fucking ask me that fucking question ever again look.
Yeah.
Like he did not want to talk about it. It does seem like it's coming to an end. 2023, I do believe the contract is up. And if there's one guy who could make his own brand, apparel line, shoe line, it is Tiger Woods. And I think, Nike Golf, they don't make hard goods anymore. They're not as invested in the golf space as they used to be. I don't know if he's going to go out on his own. I don't know if he's going to partner with someone else, or I don't know if he's just putting ultimate leverage on them because everyone's talking about it now. And it's like, are you really going to let Tiger Woods go?
Can we see what we've got in the Barstool golf budget? Do you want to? Can we look at our finances, go through the books, do a little audit? We got Alistair Docherty and we got Tiger Woods. I think that would be a pretty good get for us in terms of
nice crew neck.
Yeah, we got a nice crew neck. That's right. Dude, Bernard Longer and his son won the tournament for the 5th time. 5 times. He was playing from 6,000 yards, which is shorter than Charlie Woods. He's a savage. He's a fucking savage. First, he won at every senior tour event in the world. Now he's just cleaning up at the PNC. He's won it 5 times.
Do you think if we did a deal with Tiger Woods and he was wearing that swing progression crew neck in a PGA Tour event or like at the Masters tournament, how many of those things would we sell? Would our business shut? Like, would it be like when a phone center collapses and you just can't handle the inbound desire for that?
I think we'd have like a Tiger swing progression crew neck like factory. I think outside of a factory, you'd actually see the logo lit up like the X in San Francisco, and they'd be like, "What happens in there?" It's like they just specifically make Tiger Woods swing progression crew necks in there, and it's one of the biggest. No one's jumping off the roof or anything. It's one of the biggest companies in the world, and they treat their employees great. They have nice lunch hours, but they just crank out 30 to 40,000 crew necks a day.
Right. Well, I know, and you guys know how many we've sold without the Tiger Woods endorsement, so I can't even imagine the number. It's almost like asking how many people are in the world. It's like that's how many people are going to buy that crew neck. So
the limit does not exist.
The limit does not exist. So yeah, if Tiger is in talks and with other apparel companies about who he wants to go with, I'd love to throw our name right in that hat.
Shout out, by the way, during the PNC coverage, Nelly Corda was signing a Tiger Woods swing progression crew neck. And that guy, whoever he is, if he's listening to this show, I think you have the most valuable one ever, because he had like 5 or 6 signatures on there. And I was trying to zoom in, and I could have sworn I saw Tiger Woods on there.
Wow.
Like I saw, if you look at that photo that Rob put in our group chat, it almost looks like the one that's closest to like the left looks like Tiger Woods. It's got like the 3 lines going up and like one long line going across it. If that guy got Tiger Woods to sign a Tiger Woods swing progression crew neck, whoa, we're talking real cash. You see that, Trent? You're looking at it?
Send us a picture. This guy can get in touch.
I got to look up Tiger Woods' signature on Wikipedia. They usually have
I
that,
think
right?
that is Mr. Woods' signature, dude.
It's got like 3 lines going up, like 3 circles going up.
That is exactly how he's. I've got, because that's his signature
got it right behind
there.
it. Right.
Oh yeah.
What I mean,
this guy's got to be at least a Stoolie or a foreplay fan. If he's listening to this and you hear it, please let us know if you got Tiger Woods to sign your.
Is Tiger Woods out there signing autographs though? He doesn't do that. I don't know. Does he?
That's a good question, Dan. Does he sign at all when he's out at these tournaments?
He does not sign it. First of all, fuck you, Frankie Borelli. I am so sick, and that is because of you in the Dominican Republic. You told me. You said,
right.
You go, I'm sorry. You said, I'm sorry, first day.
Antibiotics, dude. Antibiotics are the most amazing thing ever created.
He doesn't sign at PGA Tour events because he would never leave the place, but he is in a totally different mindset at PNC. So I could see him doing, if he obviously knows you guys and likes you guys, so maybe he sees that crew neck and he's all about it. But whoever has that crew neck, show it to us. You probably fan.
I'm just saying that one looked like the line. Like it looks like that line that goes across that Riggs just sent. I don't know. It would be interesting. Gotta have, I'm sure the guy will reach out to us.
If he doesn't, there's people who do this for a living where they like match up signatures and they're looking at like old artifacts from the 1200s. So we'll get it figured out.
I'm telling you, I think that's it. Golf's simple for us, man. We like to go out there, have a great time, laugh with your friends, enjoy the day, escape from work, family drama, whatever it might be. Fireball Whiskey is going to help you do that with the iconic cinnamon flavor. Had a couple buddies in town this last weekend. Every time the beverage cart would come by, we're ordering Fireball shots. It's easy. You get the little shooters that you grab, pop that top, rip it back. Everybody's having a better time. We're huge Fireball fans, especially when you're playing golf.
It's the best. It's an iconic flavor. You know what you're going to get out of each shooter. I have my whole house stocked with them. It's a holiday season right now. Obviously, a little bit less golf happening in New York, but for us, when we have people over, we're having like 3 Christmas parties coming up. I'm going to have these Fireballs ready to rip, like you wouldn't believe. Shotsy, all these types of games. I always incorporate some sort of shot, and Fireball is my go-to shot. I keep them on ice. I throw the shooters at people. I say, hands. I throw them a shooter. They got to catch it. They got to take the shot. It just gets the night going, man. And you know what you're going to get. It's a good shot. Ice cold Fireball just goes down so smooth.
Especially the holidays. A little cinnamon flavor. It fits in.
Perfect.
It really does.
It is perfect. The Fireball 50 milliliter shooters are the perfect shot for the golf course, holiday party, whatever it might be. Throw a bunch in your bag, ready to go whenever you need them. No shot glass chaser needed. Just crack it and knock it back. If you're really feeling like upping the ante this weekend, any day, make sure you grab a 10-pack of Fireball shooters.
Did you guys ever get into like collecting or like signatures or cards, sports memorabilia?
I definitely had a sport like card obsession as a child. That was also partly a Pokemon obsession, but I never got into signatures. I never really even got into the memorabilia thing. I remember me and my buddies were big into football and baseball cards, but outside of that, no.
My big thing was collecting the little miniature white knee hockey sticks of every team that I could find.
That's nice.
Yeah, so I would just get every NHL
32
team
of those.
Well, then they started coming out with like they had college ones, and they would even do like the mini hockey ones with like NFL. They would do like the St. Louis Cardinals and stuff. Like they would kind of mix it up with all kinds of different teams. So I was into getting as many of those as I could, which is actually a little bit of a problem in terms of clutter because those aren't like baseball cards. Those are just like hockey sticks that are this big.
Did you guys ever play the baseball card game Showdown? It was called.
No.
Oh my God. There really was nothing like it. Alex Bush, did you ever play that?
No, I did not. But I did get autographs, so many autographs growing up.
Yeah. No, dude, I went through crazy run with the Islanders specifically because I used to get into the locker room. My guy, I used to have this guy, Bernie, he's the skills coach, and this other guy, Artie, who was he was the equipment manager. This is before I was just a little fucking psychotic, horny kid, like running around fucking everyone's horny when you're 13, 14. I had fucking,
what does that have to do with collecting sports?
I'm just thinking about
porn star signatures.
Where is this going? Where is this going?
I'm just thinking about like having a Gatorade mustache. I'm just thinking about like just running around, like testosterone's finally getting into you. You're just like fucking gonna get that autograph. You know what I'm saying? I'm
porn videos. Is that what you're trying to tell us?
I'm just trying to set the mood for like what was going on in my brain. And it's just like you're just fucking running around and like you got to get in the room and like
you're
fucking,
like that. The gif of that girl eating cotton candy at a game where she's like,
yeah, and like getting autographs was cool, man. It was a very cool thing to attain. Like you were like you'd get the guys like he'd lock eyes with you, and then you'd play it either aggressively or you'd play it like the sad puppy eyes kid, where it's like, please, can you sign it? The best one ever was.
And is your father, Frank Borelli, also is he using you? Is he using you to manipulate? No, these people?
He wasn't getting too much into the signature stuff, but he would cry if I got a big one. He'd get like real proud. But anyway, I would station myself outside the New York Islanders locker room in this like player waiting area, and I used to get all the opposing players would walk by this area to the team bus, and there was like a 4 or 5 year stretch where I knocked off like the best of the best. I'm talking like Ovi and fucking Crosby and just like Marty St. Louis and like just like every single big player that would walk by, I'd get him. But the best one was Crosby. He's the first guy, and that's why I tried to set the tone. I was crazy and I would scream and I'd get this autograph. But Crosby walked by and I went very Tiger Woods-esque when I first met Tiger Woods, and I just didn't say a word, and I couldn't say a word. Sidney Crosby walked right by me, and there was no one else in the hallway. And as he's like making the turn, I just go, "Hey, I get an autograph, Sid?" Like I finally got it out, and he just was gone. And I was like, I missed my opportunity. This is the greatest guy of my generation. This is my Gretzky that just walked by me. And some security guard comes out and goes, Did someone like call for Sid? And I was like, I did. And he goes, he wants to see you. And this guy walked me down this really long hallway, right? Like long hallway. It felt like a movie. And Sidney Crosby's leaning up against the wall with like his arms like kind of like to the side. And he goes like, sorry, kid. Like I just blew right by you. Like he's like, I didn't mean to do that. Like it gets crazy outside the locker room. He's like, you a big fan? And I'm like shitting my pants, right? I'm by myself. Like I got taken away from my crew. I'm by myself. And I'm like, yeah. So then we ended up taking a photo, and he signed a picture for me. He asked me for my name. He's like, what's your name? It was Frankie. to Frankie from Sidney Crosby. And then he's like, you from around? I'm like, yeah, we have a restaurant. He's like, oh, you do? And we're talking. And he's like, oh, you got Borelli's right there? I think we had the pizza. He's like fucking sitting there talking to me for like 10 minutes. And I'm just fucking shaking, legitimately shaking. I don't even know how old I was at this point.
I was going to ask, because Sidney Crosby, he's not that much older than you.
Maybe you're right. I may have been like 15 years old. Like,
that's what I mean. You're almost like his peer at the time.
It's like 15 years old.
Oh yeah,
he's like
how much? He's got to be like 6 or 7 years older than me, right? So he had to be like 23, 22 if I was like 15. And I was a small
he's 36
15-year-old, right?
He's
like,
36.
Right, and I
thought
30.
you were like 19 and he was 26.
No. I was still a kid. I was a fucking kid.
Okay,
freaking out.
Kid. But 15-year kid.
That was like my number one meeting an athlete moment, where it was just me and him in a fucking hallway. And at that point, Sidney Crosby was like God, right?
Yeah.
Like a 22-year-old Sidney Crosby was like the guy. So that's my number one, I think.
That story could go. I mean, that's amazing that he did that.
Yeah.
I remember I touched Sammy Sosa's Ferrari once.
Ooh.
We were out, I went to a Cubs game, and then you do the thing where you wait out by where all the players park their cars. And I wanted a Sammy Sosa autograph because, I mean, back then he was the king. This was probably like 98, 99 when he was on top of the world, potentially using some substances to hit the ball really far.
Mark McGwire was on top of the world. He was close, though. He was very close.
But he, that was a big year for young Trent, 98 with McGwire and Sosa.
It was a big year for Riggs in St. Louis.
Yeah, it was massive. Unbelievable.
They would cut into every single game when like that wasn't a thing. Like now you can cut into every game, no problem. But even I think I would watch WGN, which was the local station where I would watch Cubs games. But even when McGwire was up to bat, they would cut in and be like, all right, he's going for 61. He's going for 62.
Roger Maris got hosed.
Listen. You go back and look at pictures of McGwire and Sosa at that time. They look like comic book characters. It's outrageous how
you seen a picture of Sammy Sosa recently?
Yeah, he's had a tough post career.
Looking a little different.
But anyway, we were outside Wrigley Field in the area where the players park their cars, and I just wanted to get an autograph. Sammy did not stop and give her autographs to anyone, but he had a yellow Ferrari that he drove by in, and I remember just reaching out and touching it, and I was like, I just touched Sammy Sosa's Ferrari. It was the coolest thing in the world to me.
That's incredible. It is very cool.
Remember when you got that selfie with 50 Cent? That made me think of that.
Yeah. He was outside the Barstool office.
At their cars.
What was he in? He was in like a convertible.
He was in a convertible Rolls Royce, like a Phantom. And he was just out there sitting, shooting a music video, I think. And he was not happy that I wanted to take a picture with him. But that's how I want my 50 Cent interaction to go. He's not a nice guy. I don't expect him to be a nice guy when a stranger rolls up on him and is like, oh, I want to take a picture with you. I want to shake your hand. He's probably like, what is happening? So that was a big moment for me. Yeah, I really, really was excited to meet him.
Yeah, you don't need a happy 50 Cent for your selfie.
Oh, I would have loved if he had shot me. If he had just put a bullet in my leg, that would have been amazing. Like, what was it like meeting 50 Cent? He shot my kneecap. It was incredible. That's what you want. You want, like Sidney Crosby, probably famously known as a pretty nice guy. I have no idea. But like, yeah, he's going to blow by in the hallway and then be like, I think I just ruined that kid's experience with Sidney Crosby. And he's going to get the security guard to pull him in. 50 Cent, I want him to like draw down on me and have me be scared, which is what happened basically.
Dude, I have a Joe DiMaggio signed baseball that like my great grandmother gave to my uncle, and then like it's been passed down somehow, some way. They knew someone in the Yankees locker room back in the fucking whenever Joe DiMaggio played for the Yankees. I actually wouldn't be able to pin a time frame on Joe DiMaggio on the New York Yankees. Was it the 40s?
Post Babe Ruth, I think, right?
Oh, for sure, right?
Yeah. I would have said 60s.
Because he like
50s. Wasn't he like banging Marilyn Monroe? And that
I would say like the 40s to the 60s, because he was like in the war, right?
Talking the worst trivia team in the league here, fellas. We can't get within.
Anyway, I've got this baseball.
He played for the Yankees from 1936 to 1951 with a 3-year break for the war.
For the war. I kind of nailed that. Nice. So I have this baseball, but it's kind of like fading at this point, and I don't know what to do with it. It feels like it's going to fade. It's just going to be a baseball at some point. And like, do you like keep this in your family forever, or do you just like sell it? Because I think it's worth pretty decent amount of change.
Have you guys ever been to DC and seen the Constitution?
No. I've been to DC, but I've never seen the Constitution.
I went like 7 or 8 years ago, and the Constitution gives you that vibes of like it is fading big time. And obviously,
I'm surprised it's in DC and not. Was it signed in Boston?
Philly, right?
Philly, yeah.
Yeah, they have like the national, like going to DC, the coolest thing is all the different museums. They have a million different really sick museums. They have the Space Museum, which is really cool. But the National Archives, you go in there and the Constitution's in this unbelievable room. But you go up and for whatever reason, you are kind of expecting it to still be like vibrant and like and it's just very faded. It's like, it's just going to be gone.
Yeah, I wonder what they decide to do, because I know the Mona Lisa is in the same boat where they're like, this thing's getting old, and I know Frankie just kind of saw it, but I think they do restoration.
Restoration.
That's it.
Restoration.
Yeah, restitution is what you were thinking, which is totally different.
They do. I actually still can't quite nail down restoration.
It's not even like a particularly hard word, I don't think.
If I can say it.
All right, Northwestern, take it easy.
Hey, I didn't go to Harvard.
But they want to restore these things, and I would imagine they try to do with the Constitution, but like even that's an incredibly risky endeavor because you could fuck these things up, and they're the most famous documents on planet Earth.
Yeah, I think they maybe at some point just slip one past us and just whip up a nice new one that looks the same and get it in there. Nobody will know.
Right. Nicolas Cage might steal it. Just put a new one in there. We don't care.
What was it? It was on the back of the Constitution there
was a map. Yeah,
that's right. That's right. Techniques headphones deliver legendary hi-fi sound quality that you would expect only to come from Techniques. That's true. That is true. Last several weeks, you heard us talking about these because we finally got them for the first time. Hadn't had them before. We're using just the traditional stuff that comes with the products that we use. You probably know what we're talking about. Hadn't even really thought about upping the quality, getting myself something that is top of the line. Techniques came in. I got the AZ80 earbuds. The noise canceling feature on them is insane. The lack of ear fatigue because they're so ergonomically perfectly created. So you listen to podcasts or you watch a show, whip out the iPad, whatever it is, on a plane. You're there for 3, 4, 5 hours. These things don't hurt your ears. They feel amazing. Sound quality is off the charts. We're just huge Techniques people now.
Yeah, I've got the over-ear ones there. I'm looking at my Bluetooth. It's the EAH A800 is what they are, and they are phenomenal. I mean, you just don't even feel them on your head, even though they're a little bit bigger and that they go over your head and over your ears. They are so it's like zero gravity on them. They're so comfortable. It's completely changed my travel game where now I'm fully immersed in whatever I'm watching. I'm able to watch movies now. I was just so lazy when it came to my audio experience. We travel so much and we are on so many planes and so many hotels. And I was just listening through my phone, on these little speakers. It's like, no, man, watch a movie, pop on Netflix, experience it, feel the bullets going by your head.
That's Techniques.
It is. Shop for Techniques, true wireless AZ80 earbuds or A800 headphones at Techniques.com. Foreplay listeners get 10% off your purchase on earbuds, headphones, and more. So go shop Techniques. They got fantastic over the head. They got earbuds. They got all kinds of good stuff. So go check it out. TECHNICS.com/foreplay. That's Techniques.com/foreplay. Kevin Kisner, huge news in this world. Kevin Kisner got tapped by NBC to be their lead analyst for the Tournament of Champions and then also for the Phoenix Open. Incredible call. Usually feels like a lot of the time golf doesn't get this stuff right. Occasionally they do, or they go with someone who's kind of got the cert and they've won a major, but they're not, whatever. This one, we talked about it a lot a couple months ago when he kind of figured out that Azinger was out. We're huge Kevin Kisner fans, so we're obviously perhaps a little bit biased, but I got to think Kisner is going to become, once he goes on there, even more of a fan favorite. I think he's going to be phenomenal on that coverage. I was a little, I think everybody's a little bit like, is Kisner retired? What does that mean? He's going to be a lead analyst. He was on the President's Cup team last year. So how's he going to be the analyst for NBC? Tournament of Champions made sense because he didn't win, so he's not in the Tournament of Champions. But Phoenix Open is, we talk about all the Phoenix Open is maybe our favorite event of the year. That's not a major. Crowds, feels like a major. It's great. He's going to be not playing. He's clearly just resigning to being the analyst for that event. So that part of it's a little bit weird, but overall, I think Kiz is going to deliver fantastic social media clips too of just his little lines. He knows all the players, so I'm pretty goddamn excited.
He'll say anything. I think with there's a higher likelihood with him than anyone else that we could get like an F-bomb on live TV, which might be entertaining. I bet you he's probably curious to see how much he likes it. And it sort of seems like a test drive for both parties, right? NBC can see how he does, and he can see how he likes it, because there's a chance that he's in that booth, Waste Management Phoenix Open, which is a tournament that he probably would get into, and he's loving it, and that's a hard thing for an athlete to accept. And Trevor's talked about this with you guys about like knowing that you can still play, your body is able to do it, but just accepting the fact that you're enjoying something else, and that might become the priority. So I think it'll give him a chance to see where he's at, and if he misses it, or if he's really enjoying it, because they're going to pay him good money, and he's made plenty of money. He's a smart guy, so he doesn't need the money. And if he likes doing this, and if he's talented at it, there will be a job and a spot there for him.
Has he ever done TV before? Any sort of following groups, or I can't recall anything.
I don't know that he has. I really don't think that he has.
It's a big jump, and I think he's going to do great. But that like lead analyst on NBC, they're going to use you a lot. You got to be. I mean, listen, he's going to be prepared. He's a smart guy. He's one of the funniest guys we've ever met. Blah blah blah. But it's a big jump.
I'm not trying to throw any shade here, but I mean, if Paul Azinger could do it, the guy was legitimately like, the ball's just not going to catch his slope, and it's like it went in the hole. It caught the slope, and it's currently in the hole. So if he can do it, I think Kevin Kisner hopefully can do it. But you are right that you don't know until you know. We love Kiz, great in the podcast. He's great in interviews. You don't know that you can absolutely be phenomenal as a lead analyst up there talking forever. It's hard to fill time. You end up saying dumb shit because you're talking for 4 hours straight or whatever it might be. And Kiz can obviously talk like the best of them. But I also do think he is a sharp enough guy that he's probably not going to say anything too idiotic up there. But yeah, it's a little bizarre in the sense that it feels like he's close enough still to playing really, really good golf that it's surprising that he's jumping in the booth.
If there's a guy who can do it, it's him. Like if we were to hand pick a guy, which we would not have picked him because we're like, he's still playing, it would be Kevin Kisner. He's been our guy from the jump. And if he can show even 2% of what he has shown us on our podcast, in our videos, people are going to love him because he is naturally very funny, knows a ton about golf, and that's what you want in a role like that. He's perfect for it.
It is a little bittersweet because you want the Kevin Kisner comeback story to start right away this year, and like we were kind of all in on it. He grew the beard, he went and became a mountain man, came back, says that he did the podcast with Riggs, being like, this is the comeback, and now it's like you're starting the year in the booth, which is like it feels a little too cushiony for the comeback. You know what I'm saying? It's like we're already planning our next play here. But if there's anyone that can do it, it is him. I'm very happy for him because he is going to crush it. I'm almost like mad that he's starting now because once he's in there, people are going to just want him every single week. And like this is just, it's obviously going to work. It's Kevin Kisner. We've talked with him before, whether it's on the podcast or having beers at his place and just like kind of shooting the shit about golf and announcers. And I remember he used to have the point where it's like, it's really hard to hear backlash or criticism from a guy in the booth that like isn't one of your peers. I remember him being a pretty big advocate for that, where it's like, I'm not going to listen to this guy say this thing if you're not like out there with me doing the same thing. And the fact that he is these guys' peers, he's going to let it fly because he's going to come from that same viewpoint where it's like, I know these guys, I know their swings, I play the game just as they do. I'm able to kind of talk on behalf of these guys as opposed to like just shooting shots from the tower and not really knowing what these guys are dealing with and swing thoughts and coaches and all that shit. Kiz knows all this shit. He's their guy. He's every guy's best friend. So you're going to get crazy good insight from him in the booth, and he's going to, and players won't feel as, they won't feel as like guarded around him because he's one of their own,
Yeah. Yeah. And even with like Azinger, he was a little bit older and not like a peer in terms of being like buddy with a lot of these guys. And you see it with Colt out there. Like Colt, played with a lot of these guys, a lot of the top dogs Colt is great friends with. So then when he's inside the ropes, it is a personal connection that he's got with these guys. And to Frankie's point, like he can speak, and Kiz will be able to speak very currently about everything, about the courses that they're playing, about a guy's game and what he's working on about this caddy versus that caddy. Like he just will know all that stuff because he's in there, which I think the players will respect. I think it'll go a long way. I think he's going to be really good at it. Do you think it matters at all? And I hope the answer is no, that he's not like a major champion or like a Ryder Cup captain.
It doesn't matter to us. The only people that it would matter to would be that kind of like 65 plus demographic that I think they need to like not orient their broadcasts to, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like we talked about how the average age of a broadcast or of a PGA Tour viewer in the past has been like 64 years old. I could see like older people being like Kevin Kisner never accomplished, but the whole younger generation, growing up with Foreplay and other, like media brands and social media facing players, they know Kisner and he's going to have way more sort of clout with a younger generation than a guy who might have won a couple majors, but nobody feels like they know them at all.
I remember that, speaking about like the early, like having the knowledge because you were in the game like so recently, it was a lot, the Tony Romo stuff early on. That was a big part of why people loved him so much early on, where it was like, this guy was literally playing against these guys last year or a few months ago. So you do have a ton of the insight into the game that you're actually covering. But I mean, I'm not comparing Romo to Kisner, but I'm saying like Romo didn't win a Super Bowl. Romo's not like, you just end up being so good at it. And I know people have sort of flipped on Romo. It goes back and forth every game he does, it feels like. But like, I don't think you have to have that pedigree if you're really good at it. And I think Kisner will be very good at it.
I guess I just don't put as much. I don't know why these broadcasts make such a big deal about the announcers until I guess you watch the broadcast, right? Like you're seeing all these huge networks now go after these big names and make such a big deal about who is in the booth. And like, do you even think about like who's in the booth when you're watching an event, or like, is that why you watch a certain event? Like the Tom Brady deal,
not one time.
The Tom Brady deal was like, what are you talking about? You're gonna give him $300 million just because he is Tom Brady? Are you gonna watch that game more than you're like? Are you guys gonna watch the Waste Management more than you would had he been on it or not? No, but like it does add to the production, and it adds to like the entertainment. So
the
like
deals are ass backwards. Like I would say, you listen to Greg Olson call a game and you're like, this guy is incredible at this. Like that's a guy I want to listen to every single time there's a football game on. And you wouldn't know that. I mean, that's another guy who was in the Barstool world for a very long time. And we all knew that he was funny and polished and had a future in the commentary game. But for the larger masses, they don't know. They just like, all right, Greg Olson, he was a tight end for a long time. I know the name. I remember seeing him a little bit. But then you listen to him call a game and you're like, oh, he's actually adding value. And I'm listening to it and I'm not like, I don't want to mute my TV. Sometimes when I'm listening to some analysts, I just mute it and I just watch the game because I'm like, I can't handle this. But you listen to Greg Olson, and the more you hear him, you're like, all right, I want to, like, I don't know what Tom Brady, I know he's a great football player. He won the most Super Bowls and he's the greatest football player of all time. But I don't know if he's got the skill set to call a football game. That's a completely different skill set.
Yeah, I guess I just wonder how the broader audience like actually reacts to different announcers. It doesn't get me. I don't watch or not watch based off, like, I don't even do the mute thing. Like, I just kind of it's all just noise to me. I don't know. I don't get into like the announcers.
The only person who I'll watch a broadcast for is Gus Johnson.
That's the name I was going to say too.
If it's like Saturday night and like you're drinking, and like, yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Like throw that on with the boys. Like, doesn't matter what it is, but he's the only one.
That's true.
The only time it really matters is if the announcer is horrible. Otherwise, it doesn't. You're right. It doesn't really matter at all. Now, I tune into the Tournament Champions or the Phoenix Open a little bit because it's novelty and it's early to like see Kiz in there for sure. But after, if he's just solid at it and we get 3 or 4 months into this thing, I'm not like changing my fucking Saturday afternoon plans to make sure I watch the golf all of a sudden because Kiz is on there. No offense. I love Kiz, but you're right. And it definitely doesn't matter, game in and game out. I don't think NFL, the Tom Brady thing, I think is wild because it's like again, you might turn it on early on to be like, oh, what's Tom Brady going to say? But by year 2 or 6 months in or 3 months, who gives a shit? So you could pay somebody $20 million and they'd be just as good at it. Or you're paying somebody $307. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, like they're not going to see a $300 million value bump from the game.
Maybe they will.
Maybe.
I don't know. That's why I brought it up. Because obviously, like, we do like announcers and we do like when they're better. That's like, these are just facts. But like, I just don't see the value in it. So I just dumb, I guess. I don't know. I'm missing something that they're sitting around a fucking business boardroom being like, this is worth it. And I just don't know where it came from, but I think I'm just fucking dumb.
Also, in that case, we're talking about the NFL. How much more popular can that sport get?
I
You
know,
pretty much got everybody already. You got the whole country. We love this sport. We're going to watch it. You got put it on silent. There don't have to be any announcers in the booth. We're going to watch football. This is America, baby.
Maybe it's subconsciously. Maybe we don't realize how much we need it. Like, but I just don't. I don't watch a game because Tony Romo's calling it. You know, nope. I don't know that he adds or takes away any of the value of me actually clicking. I want to watch this Cowboys versus Seahawks game. I don't know that, but maybe subconsciously it does. Maybe my time watching it was more entertaining, and I didn't even realize it. And I'm like, I'm going to watch that again.
I think they want to make good content.
Awesome.
They want to make good content.
That's all it is.
You're like, the Bills are playing. Like, who's announcing that game? Oh, I'm not going to.
Right.
Yeah. I also do think that, but there's a level of comfort that you get used to, and then when they switch it, like there was a backlash to Mark Jackson and Jeff Van Gundy and Mike Breen no longer doing the big NBA games, and you do notice it. Like you have a booth for long enough, one that you don't necessarily notice, but you're like, all right, I know what I'm going to get here because I like it. Right. And then I think it was Doc Rivers who stepped in, who sounds like he has rocks in his throat when he's talking. It's like a tough listen for 2.5 hours when you're watching an NBA game. And you're like, what? The other thing was so good with Breen and Jackson and Van Gundy. Why did we even change it? So it's when you change the formula after a long time, people can get upset, but that's not the case with Azinger. People were out on Azinger. So now you got Kevin Kisner stepping in. I think it's going to be a breath of fresh air, and I think people are going to love it.
Yeah, that'll be great.
Yeah. No, I do too. I'm excited for Kiz. And yeah, it's one of those things. I mean, Kiz could, if it goes well, he could be in that seat for 25 years. He could be doing, he could be calling U.S. Opens and all kinds of stuff. So it could be huge for him.
A guy from our world. That's not a guy who couldn't be more from our world. I love that. I mentioned it with the Greg Olson stuff. That was cool to see his success. And now if we get Kisner, a guy who we've basically been like, this is the funniest guy in golf for 7 years, and not enough people know about it. Now people are going to get to learn about it, and that's very exciting.
Yeah, I mean, you could argue Kiz got this job because of us. So
listen, I don't want to say it, but
if you're out there, Kevin Kisner, no problem. You're welcome. No, he is, and it's big. I mean, Trevor Immelman is in our world. He's not as much as Kiz, but I mean, that guy welcomed us over. Him and his wife cooked us dinner. We love hanging out with Trevor Immelman. It's the fact that he's, the CBS guy. We've got Kiz at NBC. That's good for us. We're surrounding the golf world with our people, which is good for us. Is there a better place to go on a golf trip with your buddies than Myrtle Beach?
No.
The answer is no. Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. It is the golf capital of the world. If you like golf, you like having a good time with your friends, if you like making memories that will last a lifetime, then you have to go to Myrtle Beach. Also, Myrtle Beach hosts the largest amateur golf tournament in the world. Yes, the entire world. The tournament is the Myrtle Beach World Am. Our friend Dan Rapaport went down to Myrtle Beach, checked out the event. I believe you had a great time, Dan.
Had a great time. It's Myrtle Beach it's like a Las Vegas almost for golf. It's just they figured it out. It's a whole area that has been catered toward golf trips, and there's options for everybody.
Yeah, the World Am features more than 3,300 players every year. They've got, I think they said, over 70 something golf courses that are in the Myrtle Beach area. They've got top 100 courses, which are excellent. They've got a wide mix of food. You can go sit out on the pier and have seafood. You can go to a nice steakhouse. You can go-karts. You can go to a saloon. You can go anywhere. They got all kinds of options in Myrtle Beach. That's why we love it. That's why it's the number one buddies trip, golf trip destination in America, in the world. If you want to try to play in the 2024 Myrtle Beach World Am, our friends at playgolfmyrtlebeach.com are giving away an entry into the 2024 event, which includes 4 rounds of golf and 5 nights of hotel accommodations. That's incredible. So visit www.barstoolworldam.com. That's barstoolworldam.com. And then also go book a trip at playgolfmyrtlebeach.com. I saw Angel Cabrera. Angel Cabrera played in his first tournament this last weekend. Since coming out of prison. He was in prison, I think. Was it in Argentina? He got arrested in Brazil and then maybe was in prison in Argentina. Is that right?
He was extradited.
Okay, he was extradited. He was in prison. He hadn't hit a golf shot, I think, for like 3 years. I was reading this article where he was talking about it afterwards. He played well. I think he finished like top 10 in this event that he did play in, but hadn't hit a single golf shot in like 3 years, he was saying. And he got out of prison. He waited 25 days after he got released from jail before he went and hit his first shot. He was talking about that drive to the golf course for the first time and how nervous he was and how unsure he was. And then here he is back. He was talking about Augusta National and how much that place means to him. He's like 54 or something now. And this thought kind of him, he was like hoping that he'd be able to go back there and go to the Champions dinner. Like, well, the Masters, he won, so he gets invited forever. But like, if he went to prison for 3 years about some domestic violence disputes, is he an automatic invite back to the Masters tournament?
It's an unprecedented situation. I don't think that any former Masters champion has had bad legal troubles like this, where it's not like a personal struggle. It's like you did something horrific.
Yeah.
I don't think they know the answer. I think they probably were hoping that he would sort of gracefully decide not to go, but it sounds like he's not going to do that.
He's ready to go.
Yeah, he wants to go really
bad.
badly.
What's the longest rap sheet that's been allowed at a Champions dinner? Like, what is it? Well, I mean, again, like Dan said,
it might be Mr. Woods.
Unfortunately, which is interesting.
Just got real awkward.
And he's back. He's coming back every year.
Yeah, but what he did is not comparable to what Angel Cabrera did.
Not even ballpark. Not even
Angel Cabrera is like that's horrific behavior. I don't know the answer.
I want everybody to know Angel thinks he's going to that dinner.
He's got his flights booked.
From what Rick said, this is like what he's been looking forward to since getting out.
Couldn't believe it when I was reading it. I was like, I don't know that you're welcome back. He's just trying to go to Georgia, get a nice meal. So yeah, I found that story interesting. He's trying to make it on the Champions Tour. So we believe in redemption and whatnot. So hopefully he's in a better place. Hopefully he's feels like he has put in the time for the bad things that he has done, and that he's becoming a better person. So
the Eli Manning of golf. The Eli Manning of golf. He won 3 tournaments his whole career. 2 of them were major champions.
Oh, I thought you were comparing the redemption. I was like, I don't think Eli Manning would
No.
Eli
Manning,
I don't.
Squeaky clean
in this context of what we were talking about. I don't know that
golf perspective. Just bangers only. U.S. Open at Oakmont, Masters champion. That was basically it for his entire career in the United States.
Those are insane tournaments to win.
He also like beat Tiger Woods by 1 when it was at Oakmont. So a little bit. All right. Speaking of, somebody mentioned Alistair Docherty earlier. Once again, here we are sweating the Q School final stage. They got rained out yesterday, Sunday. So today, Monday, when we're recording, a little bit different this year. Dan, we've got the top 5 finishers this year get their PGA Tour cards. Top 40 in ties like last year get first 8 starts, I believe it is what it was last year on the Korn Ferry Tour, which is fantastic status. If you get that, you're pretty much going to be able to lock up Korn Ferry Tour status throughout the entire year, which is what Alistair had last year. Our boy started with a 78 in round 1, an 8 over 78, and then went 65-66 to get himself into a T36 position going into today. Slow start. He's 1 over through 9, which puts him about 2 shots outside of the cut line. And so he needs a couple birdies coming home. But yeah, that's going to be on Golf Channel as soon as we finish up with this. I'm going to go watch some of that because it is the most riveting golf. I saw Spencer Levine up there. I saw there's a couple names from our event. Doc Redman, who we've done some stuff with, is up there. Kyle Westmoreland. He's the
Trace Crow, who won it.
Trace Crow, our guy. Yeah. He was up there contending. So yeah, some interesting names in there, but they've got like 9 holes left, it feels like, in this thing, and careers on the line. So if you're in any way intrigued by high stakes golf, this is about as high stakes as it gets.
I saw the Monday Q guy going crazy on Twitter, being like, we're talking about children and their parents playing at a fake golf tournament. You got the biggest shit going on in the world. He's like, there's so many storylines. He's like, it is true for a guy like that guy who grinds on the storylines and how good these storylines are of guys, literally playing for their lives. And all the headlines the whole entire weekend going to just like we said, what it's all about. The fact that it was on what's up?
Well, I mean, Tiger Woods is playing one tournament, he's not playing another.
Right. Well, that's obviously why, but I could see why it would stir up that community a little bit of like, we're finally getting the eyeballs. It's on television. It's like, but no one's talking about it. Like, this is the story, but that's always going to be the battle. No one's actually going to care about any of this stuff until that's what entertainment is. The big names get the big draws. That's just
right. That's always been the conversation we've had, where it's like, if people knew just how dramatic this was, it would get more eyeballs. It's just like a harder thing to describe and sell to the larger public is the only problem, because the stories are incredible.
And there's no connection to the players. You know, it's like such a surface level connection. You're like, yeah, sure, you tune in and you watch a little, but man, when you tune into the PGA Tour, you know all the backstory. When you do tune into, for example, the last couple of years, a major championship, and Rory is right there in the top 3, and you know he hasn't won a major in the last 10 years. It's like the storyline, bang, you know this guy's worn his heart on his sleeve. You're into it. Like, you turn it on, and again, like, maybe you know a name, Spencer Levine, but by the time you invest in the learning curve, and it's like the event's over, and you're never really that into it. So I understand.
Netflix Full Swing should have done one episode on it. They should have done an hour and a half episode where they take the whole storyline. And obviously difficult to do, but if anyone could do it, it's them. And really, in the middle of a series that everyone's loving, women are loving it, watching it with their husbands. They're falling in love with Tony Finau and all these golfers, and it became a huge hit. Dan Rapaport's on the show. It became a huge hit. Mm-hmm. Season 2's coming along. If they would have thrown this event in the middle, maybe they did. I don't know, but I'm assuming they didn't. If they would have thrown this in the middle, you would have gotten that love for like the grind and these side characters that have these amazing stories aside from the Justin Thomases and the Tiger Woods and the Rory McIlroys. You would have, it would have been in group chats of like, did you see that episode of this guy? He came from 110th to 35th and now he got status, and then he finished in the top 5 and now he's on the tour. That would have actually done what we're talking about right now. They have the opportunity. They have the show. They have the audience. Yeah. That's the best story you're going to tell.
Yeah. I have had this discussion because I did suggest something like Q Schooly to them. And what they basically said was it's just too inside golf. They said like people will just be like, oh, these guys aren't the best players and tune out. I think so. I think they face the same problem. Maybe they're wrong. Maybe if you invest
they're wrong. One episode.
But they think that like, the Netflix comes back to them and it's like, where's Justin Thomas? Like where's Rory McIlroy? Like we miss those stars.
Yeah, but you could get them involved in that episode too.
Get Joel Damon involved in that episode.
Yeah, true.
I could have made that episode.
This is what it's like. This is what it is. I hear what you're saying. I hear what everybody's saying. It is a hard sell, but it'd be interesting.
It's a hard sell as a series. Like no one's fucking watching Q School on Netflix. But within the series they already have, where you already have the eyeballs, that's the drama, man. Go back to these people's like apartment where they're like they're barely making it by. You know what I'm saying? Like really show the dirt.
I do think
PGA, like getting their hands dirty. That's what it's missing.
The entry point would be guys who are on the show now who came from that world. Have them be like, hey man, I went through this. Now I'm going to walk you through step by step about how to do it, what happens, what the grind is like, and then you meet these guys, the personalities throughout that episode. Joel Damon would be perfect.
You could start with like Scotty Scheffler, Joel Damon having a big moment, and then you could like go backwards almost in like black and white and be like, it wasn't always this way, and then you kind of go back to like how he won coming up.
Tears, show me tears, man.
Right, you mean some.
I want to be in a Q School player's car, like his fucking. Like just a raggedy
Toyota
old car,
Camry.
just a raggedy old car, and just driving to the golf course, being like, if I don't do it today, the dream is over. And it's like, if I don't make birdies out there, it's over. I'm selling insurance.
The contrast would be so easy. That show is so beautiful and shot so well, and they've got these guys who have made it, who are in these mansions and these cars and these private jets, and then you just go, and now I'm in a Toyota Camry. Why am I in a Toyota Camry? Oh my God, who is this guy? He's trying to make it. He's going to sell insurance if he doesn't do well in this tournament. Like, that would be fucking awesome.
Dude, speaking of our boy, he's one shot out right now. He always makes it so dramatic. He's got 9 holes left, and he is 1 stroke out of the top 40 right now. He's even par.
Going from 70, shooting a 78 to a 65, that's mental hell.
Insane.
So someone that doesn't know what's going on, that needs a Netflix show to explain it all to them, and they're just dropping the ball, unfortunately, with that one episode. Everything else is amazing. The addition to Dan Rapaport's unbelievable. They just need that one episode they're missing.
I think they're doing a great job. They should keep on their path.
They are doing a great job. They're doing such a good job that I'm saying that they're the only platform that would work in telling the full story of the game of golf. So that's how much I'm sucking them off. I think that it's amazing, and that this is the only people that could tell that story. Number 2, what to someone that doesn't know what happens to Alistair Docherty? And I don't want to put this bad juju out there, but what happens if he finishes outside of the top 40, like for next year?
So, he's got some conditional status from his Korn Ferry Tour performance last year, but it would be very minimal if he's outside the top 40, and he would need to try to Monday into some events. He would need to probably wait several weeks or several events into the year for guys to start to like choose to not play events, right? Because the beginning of the year, they're all hyped. They're all there. All the guys that have status show up. So you need guys that then do have higher status than you do to start sitting out some events, to take a couple weeks off so that more spots open up, and you got to play that game. Whereas if he finishes top 40, he just has a job for next year, pretty much the whole year on the Korn Ferry Tour. And if he finishes worse than T40, he just doesn't for the most part.
These are also the B team trackers, because before you said that, Riggs, they had him bogeying 8 and 9, and then they just changed it to pars on 8 and 9. So I don't know what the final deal is, but yeah, Korn Ferry Tour is a absolute nightmare to have conditional status, because everyone plays every single week because they're trying to get off there, and it's just pure points. It's not like, you don't have the guys like, Rory and Scotty who are like choosing their golf courses and playing 19 events because they know it's like, I'm going to play every single week because I want to get out of here.
Yes, which is fucking nuts. So he's like, he probably needs a couple strokes to feel good at this point. He needs a couple under on the back nine.
This is deja vu. It's the same thing as last year.
Same fucking thing. What's wrong with this guy? Just make it easy, dude. If he shoots 72 in the first round, we're in. But now he's got 70. I mean, he is resilient as fuck. How do you go 78, 65, 66? It's nuts how resilient he is. It's nuts how dramatic he makes it. But yeah, I mean, I can't. My insides feel like this. This fucking guy's got 9 holes for a job next year, basically. It's like, what are we talking about? How is that real? They just put it on Golf Channel too. So as soon as we're done with this, I'm going to watch this bad boy. But I don't know if they'll actually end up showing. But he's right on the cut line. They got to show his ass. Did you find any subscriptions you forgot about, or are you paying for any twice, didn't perhaps realize it, and you wish that you had some way to monitor it, track it, make sure that you clean all that stuff up? Rocket Money is a personal finance app that finds and cancels your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, helps you lower your bills all in one place. This is truly, of all the stuff that we've talked about, maybe the most valuable app on your phone.
Especially during the Christmas time, you're kind of just clicking buttons, you're buying stuff. You want free shipping, you want fast shipping, expedited shipping. You don't know what you're signing up for. This has helped me a ton. I was on 2 Amazon Prime accounts ordering things. I ordered one to my parents' house. It was hooked up to my card. It was chaos. So Rocket Money showed me that I had multiple accounts towards Amazon Prime. And at this time, that's a very expensive mistake, because you don't know where you're sending things to. You don't know what you're purchasing. You got to make sure that you have it all dialed in. Rocket Money definitely does help.
Rocket Money also lets you monitor all your expenses in one place, recommends custom budgets based on your past spending. They'll even send you notifications when you've reached your spending limits. With over 5 million users and counting, Rocket Money has helped save its customers an average of $720 a year and $1 billion in total savings so far. Stop wasting money on things you do not use, cancel your unwanted subscriptions, and manage your money the easy way by going to rocketmoney.com/Fore. That's rocketmoney.com/Fore, rocketmoney.com/Fore. Dan, where are we at with this PIF deal? Any updates?
Well, they announced that there was a report that they're coming up close to a deal with this American group of investors called Strategic Sports Group, which we've talked about, Fenway Sports Group, and a few others. I think that the report was $3.5 billion with a B, and they also want to do a similar deal with the PIF to make it $7 billion that would be invested into the PGA Tour. That sounds like a lot of money. That sounds like a ton of money. I don't know how they're going to make a return on that. I don't know what the plan is. But I would be concerned that the Saudis are, they don't like to feel like they're part of a big group. So I don't know that announcing a big group with Strategic Sports Group, announcing a big deal and bringing all these guys in, and then it's like, oh yeah, we'll also do something with the Saudis. I think there's a risk there.
Doesn't sound like Yasser is going to love that, if I had to guess.
Yeah, I mean, maybe Fred Ridley will throw him a bone and give him an invitation to Augusta National, and then this all goes away and they make a deal.
So the original framework deal, the Saudis were in for the whole boat.
They were going to do it. There was no real mention of other investors. There was sort of like an exclusivity clause that they took out because they were worried about the Department of Justice saying like that's anti-competitive. And so that opened the possibility for PGA Tour to start negotiating with American private equity companies, which I think the guys who are on tour kind of like that because they can sort of maintain that like it's American. We're fighting the good fight. Feel a little better about where the money is coming from. That's the sense that I've gotten, is that the players who are on the board really like this idea of partnering with, because we've talked about ad nauseum. If LIV just wasn't the Saudis, there would be such a different narrative about it.
Right.
And I do think there are players who are wary about like, we're just never going to get this stink off of us if we do this deal with the Saudis.
But if they do a deal with one of these American equity companies, that feels like more civil war within the game of golf.
Correct, which is what I'm concerned about. I want the Saudis to be in this deal because I just want this to be over. And the more and more people I talk to, that seems to be the consensus from golf fans.
I don't know how much I want it to be over.
What do you think, for business or for fan or what?
I saw your video, I think it was yesterday, where you're like, there's been so much, there's been rumors, there have been people jumping ship, there's been bickering back and forth. I don't know that I'm out on that. Like I think it gives us a lot to talk about. I think it's incredibly interesting where there's 2 full weeks of like a fever pitch of Jon Rahm's going to go, and then he shows up in like a high school varsity jacket, like he's at a rally for the Friday night game under the lights. Like I think it's, and I understand that the negative, which we've talked about, is that we don't get Jon Rahm playing against Rory McIlroy and against Tiger Woods and against JT at the Phoenix Open and once a month or whatever. I get that, but I also don't know that we got that enough beforehand that this is that much worse than that. It's like, the fracturing of the game, and I just don't know that it's really been overall that like bad. It does feel like we could be in a bad spot where we don't get these guys playing together more than 4 times a year, which overall would be bad. But I think we all kind of feel like it's going to work itself out to at some point eventually where people are kumbaya. And I think right now during this tumultuous time, it's kind of fun. You got to like check your phone nonstop. Your group texts go crazy with your buddies about like, did you hear how much this guy's getting? Did you hear what Tiger Woods said? Rory's up there doing pressers going, I hate LIV. Like it's kind of, it's kind of amazing. And
it's like the beginning of COVID when I was like, I loved you love all the chaos. The work was getting canceled and flights were getting canceled, and then grandma died. And it was like, all right, well now we just got to fucking figure it out. But like, it was fun for the first couple of weeks. And then it's like, God, everyone,
they got
houses are starting to get put on the market. It's like, I think we talked about the same. Christ.
It is like my brother and I would also, when a big snowstorm was coming through Cedar Rapids, that initial push is like, this is going to be interesting. They're going to shut.
Dude, I love that
down.
shit.
Yeah,
it can go too far. Like
I want cars going off the road, like and then it's like, well, who's in the car?
Listen, as guys who
are they okay?
Have a golf podcast and their main focus is golf, and we have golf videos. I'm with Riggs on that, where it's these storylines are insane. And if you went back 4 years, we would have the public has very little to talk about when it comes to the PGA Tour or the world of professional golf. Now, if you go ask somebody on the street or like at the bar, what do you think about PGA Tour versus LIV? I almost guarantee they have an opinion on it. And that was not the case before.
Dude.
So again, for guys who cover the sport, it largely has been a good thing.
Dude, what the fuck are these guys investing in? This American
Where
company?
Is that $7 billion going? What is that?
Also, just can you imagine investing in a sport that largely will not have Tiger Woods involved in it? Like, are these fucking people dumb putting this money into this sport? We just talked about how like we're excited that this like regime is taking away golfers because golf is so boring that we as a golf podcast would have nothing to talk about. Except for one guy when he shows up with his son and his son is fucking, I mean, we got to talk about Charlie's recoil. I mean, he's got to just dial back the recoil just a little bit. I know he's only 14. We don't have to fucking, the bye-bye and the recoil was a little bit too much for me to handle. It's like Tiger didn't recoil on every single fucking swing on the Tiger on a tee box. But anyway, you're investing in a world where that guy really doesn't exist.
Where we just turned on Charlie on the show.
We're not turning on him. He's just got to dial it back a little bit.
He's before we go, because I want to talk about what we were also talking about. Bro, he's 14 years old. He's Tiger Woods' son. Everyone is like, this guy is the next thing. Matt, you're going to have so much swagger and you're going to be a little bit of a dick, but he's just like, bro, I'm going to recoil. And you're all watching this tournament because I'm here. So I'm going to
imagine imagine when you're 14, they put you on TV, how many backflips you would be doing when you were playing
100%.
baseball. You'd be
I'm not
going
saying I would
crazy
different.
out there.
Just saying, like, if it's like, you know, I don't know. It was just too many recoils.
Okay, Boomer, keep going.
But listen, imagine sitting down, writing a check out for that product without that guy, without those stores. I mean, like, Tiger's not going to be a part of this thing for that much longer. How long do they think that this return on this money is going to last? I mean, that's got to be a 20, 30 year investment, does it not? I mean, you really think that this fucking business is worth it?
So I have sort of have an answer. So I did some research. I talked to a fellow named Peter Kaufman, who is one of like the nation's leading distressed investment bankers. This is like what he does, is like these massive deals. He actually was on a CNBC panel with you, Riggs. He told me about that.
I know. He and I have talked before. He and I went on the old panel, and then he DM'd me right afterwards and was like, "I would love to have a conversation."
Great paneling.
Yeah, good panel stuff.
So what he
basically said was, so if you look at the Strategic Sports Group, it's like Fenway Sports Group is listed, and then it's a bunch of individuals. And the reason he explained this was because he was like, the whole time, as you were saying, Frankie, is going to be enormously long. So these private equity companies, Fenway Sports Group it's a bunch of individuals what they do in sports. These massive private equity companies like a Blackstone or they can't invest in this in good faith, thinking that it's going to make a return shortly. So they went to these investors who have experience. These are all professional sports owners owning sports teams, which oftentimes don't necessarily make money in the interim, but in the long run, the value of it goes up. They eventually sell. So they brought in a bunch of individuals because it's sort of like high stakes fantasy sports. It's like buying a sports team where it's like you kind of just want to be involved, right? If you're one of these four guys and you own a stake in the PGA Tour, you're playing with Rory in the Pro-Ams. You're probably getting into Augusta. You get into this thing and they're already so rich that they don't need this to be like that crazy moneymaker. They can feel like they're being stewards of the game and they have the cash to put the cash up front.
That's really interesting. I think that's very accurate.
Sorry, Peter. I know I said that maybe you could come on the podcast, but I kind of just did it.
I think that's incredibly accurate too. And I think it is an element that gets overlooked because everyone wants to narrow sort of people's objectives and reasons for doing anything. And even if a main reason might be like an investment, I think we all naturally, our brain just goes to like rich person trying to become richer. And you're like, well, you can make an investment for like a lot of different reasons. They could make an investment to do a sport, like you said. And we all kind of hope that Yasser has part of that in him, right? Like we all hope that the people behind Live and PIF, which has kind of been Frankie's point a lot of the time, has been like, well, yeah, maybe they do have a ton of money and they probably want to sports wash to some element of the whole reason, but also like there's a chance they just want golf to be awesome and cooler and better and different and whatever. And so if that's all the case, it could be overall a good thing. And so if this group's going to come in and put $7 billion in, are they going to earmark some of that for the podcasts that are kind of making this game sort of popular around the way? You really like to see where all this money's going to go, but that does feel like an amazing amount of money.
It is wild that there's a part of the people who are investing in this that are investing in it just so at a cocktail party they can say they invested in it. That they're a part of like, I own part of the PGA Tour. I invested in it. Like that can't go under the radar in terms of like why someone is doing something. I think that's like why a lot of sports owners, and Dan alluded to, where it's like, yeah, I own the Dallas Mavericks. That's something Mark Cuban can say, and he's like, oh, I make decisions. It's fucking cool. There's just not many people in that position, and that is a motivator for guys who are largely probably pretty bored when they don't do things like that.
It gets you into the golf A-list circle.
Yeah.
And that is such a circle that people want to be in, and it's hard to get into. So this is a way for these guys to, as soon as you buy a piece of the PGA Tour, the Seminole Golf Club comes call. It's just like you just get in those circles and then you meet all those other people, and yeah, it's like real life fantasy sports. That's what these billionaires want. The one thing you can't just buy at a store is like access and celebrity and like status, and this is a way for them to do that.
Riggs did say it a couple episodes ago where he was like, I don't understand, like, this whole thing might be a pyramid scheme, the game of golf, the professional game, where everything is just stacked on top of each other. Like, is there actual real interest here? Because we said on the last podcast too, where it was like, we can't be splitting up talent because the game isn't popular enough. Like, but we're still going to find people to invest tens of billions of dollars into something. Something doesn't match up there.
It is an entire pyramid scheme hinging on one man, and like every couple of years he drives off a cliff, and it's like, this is incredibly risky that we're doing all this. And
incredibly risky. Like, the Dallas Cowboys are worth $9 billion, and that's just a business that fucking works. Like, if you're invested in that, you know it works. You're one of 32. No one can come and take your product from you. You're going to be the biggest thing in all of sports, and it's just going to continue to be that. Now you're telling me that the PGA Tour is going to be worth about $7 billion worth of investing, and all these owners are going to own that instead of the Dallas Cowboys? Like, what would you rather own at the end of the day? One NFL team or the entire PGA Tour? I'm taking a fucking NFL team day in and day out. PGA Tour has no future for success. Like, there's no one knows what it's going to be. There's another tour that has better golfers on it now. Like, you have no idea what you're even investing in right now. No one knows what the product of the PGA Tour is going to look like in 10 years. They have no fucking clue.
Yeah, but to Dan's point, though, that it is deeper than that, and that all the partners, all the CEOs that are, investors or I guess sponsors of PGA Tour events, that now you're in with those guys, like the Seminole crowd, you're in with those guys. Like, I think it is a little bit deeper.
$3 billion, aren't you in that circle anyway?
Maybe not.
They don't, and
that guy's a loser. Then I got all the money in the world. I can't go golfing with these people. What are you, nuts?
It's not like all the guys in the group have that money individually either, right? Like, as a group, they might be able to come up with that, or they're going to allocate this amount. And now,
because they're that group text, if you're on that group text, being like, yeah, I'll throw a couple billion.
Bro, it is also funny that Elon bought Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it, for $40 billion. It's like
no problem.
And we're talking about the PGA Tour is trying to scrape together $7 to $10 billion. It's like, I don't know.
Three and a half between like 6 guys, one of which is Fenway Sports Group, which is like a consortium of guys. So it's like, it's probably like 10 individuals who are putting this money in there.
All these leagues are just worse. Like, the Islanders I saw were valued at like $1.5 billion the other day. They're like a top 10 hockey franchise. And it's just like, how? I'm just thinking, it's like they came in, like, we can't hold a lead in the third period. Like, how are they worth $1.5 billion? But then, like, I think about, like, it ends up becoming real estate, and they own the building, and you're in New York, and it's like you have I mean, Drake's doing two shows there in a couple months. Like, yeah, it's more than just hockey. Just the PGA Tour, to me, it's this product that we've been arguing back and forth for 2 years now of what it's even going to look like, if it's even going to be a thing. I would love to be a fly on the wall of this pitch that the PGA Tour is giving these American investors, being like, this is why you should put $3 billion into this business, because this is where we think it's going to go. And that those slideshows have to not include Eldrick Tiger Woods. They can't. You can't build future success off a guy that literally is playing once every couple months and might not do it anymore after a couple of years.
But he hosts tournaments. He does shit like that. Gets guys to come.
That's a risky investment to be putting it all into that guy.
John Rahm can't be part of those decks anymore. That's an unfortunate thing for them.
He's out on the deck, dude. He's out on the PIF.
Decks, man.
They're losing pages of decks all the time, it seems.
Golf's up, though, boys. Remember, golf's up. Just generally up. The arrow's up.
I've said this for a long time. I think the world that we're in is up. We're up. Because we are, I mean, we talk a lot about the PGA Tour, clearly. What?
Oh, I thought you meant humans.
No. I'm saying us as like covering the way that we do it. It's like we're.
Oh yeah.
I mean, we do things with the PGA Tour. We sell merch in the tent and all that stuff. But like, I think the interest in golf is up right now.
Yeah, I think humans are up soon, but it is what it is.
It's 60 degrees in New York City today. It's December 18th. We're done.
Did you see the brain GPT that was reading the guy's mind?
We can't have that. We can't have that.
Sitting down on a stage. And it was like, I want eggs Benedict with holiday sauce, whatever. And it was just like, he was thinking about it. I would like eggs Benedict with bacon. And the fucking thing was just like, they didn't actually say eggs Benedict. I've just been in the mood for eggs Benedict. But the computer just said what he was thinking. And it's like if that's happening now, and we're only like a year or two into like us knowing that this AI shit's even real, what's gonna happen in 100 years of AI, bro? You're telling me this shit's even gonna matter? You're telling me hitting a little golf ball around a fucking field is gonna matter when these fucking AIs are fucking us in the asshole, dude? No chance, bro. All our asses are done. All of them. I ain't fucking lasting here. I am not long for this world. I don't have it. I don't have it. I can't compete with that.
What if AI just makes it better, dude? What if it just makes it better? What if you just get this neural link going and now your brain is just 1,000 times more impressive and faster and you got all this knowledge?
Well, that'll be the sell for the public, but behind the scenes, they're gathering all the data and they're tricking us.
Who are the behind the scenes people? I've always wondered that. Who's really who's the real person back there that's like, nah, we're going to use this to ruin the world, actually?
Are we prepared for when a country just turns us off? Are all of you prepared for that, right? It's one thing to be like, bombs are coming down and we're going to be like all hunkering down in a basement or some sort of we're all going to go to the local high school and go into like the chamber in the basement or whatever. And we're going to be like waiting for the bombs to go off like it was like 1940s. What's going to happen when they turn all the electronics off? It's over, dude. I'm not prepared for that. I got to go get one of these Sam Burns guns or something. It's going to be fucking all hell's going to break loose. I've been reading a lot about
Alistair Docherty on 10 rigs. Birdie from Alistair Docherty on 10.
I saw it.
And he's in the fairway on the par 5-11. He's on the fairway.
It's not going to matter, dude.
No, this stuff matters, Frankie. This is what it's all about, Frankie. This is what it's all about.
This doesn't worry you guys. None of this stuff.
No, dude, you can't worry about that. You worry about, that's.
You got to make your life a little smaller.
Yeah, you can't be worried about that.
That's all you can do, man. That's all you can do. I remember I read a book that was called like Entertaining Ourselves to Death, something like that. It's a really good book. And they said when the how news is broadcast, when it went from the Pony Express to what would be the next iteration of that? Like your electronic, it can go wide. The Pony Express is local to you. But then the next step was it goes out wide. It goes out over the radio, basically. And they said that at that point, when everyone's lives went from locally to you're now dealing with things that aren't in your control, everything got a lot worse. Where it was like, all right, usually when I wake up in the morning, I deal with, all right, there was a fire down the street. We're all going to help out. We're going to collect and we're going to help that out. But then you start hearing about fires that are 500 miles away. You can't control it, but you're now thinking about it. And you're like, oh, wow, shit. Yeah. That's crazy. Now think about that, how much that has accelerated over the last, however, a couple hundred years. Bro, everything on Twitter, everything on the news, I see it. It's happening thousands of miles away. I can't do anything about it, but I'm still being forced to think about it. And now I'm stressing about it. But I can't do anything about it. I can't control it. It's not a fire down the street where we all collect and we all pitch in and we all help rebuild the house. That's something tangible that I can touch and fix. And I feel good about it because it's part of my community. Now when I see about a fire in San Francisco and the house burned down and a bunch of people are dead, I'm just like, all right, now I just get to think about that, but I can't contribute. It wrecks your brain.
Yeah. It's a great way of thinking about it, Trent. Doesn't make me feel better, but that's a great example.
What I'm saying is make your life a little smaller. Maybe don't read all the articles about how the Chinese own our grids and they're going to shut us off. Like,
can't get away from it.
It's hard to get away from it because it's
very tough now. The phones make it very, very tough.
Well, it's like food now. Like they package it where you have to read about it. You click, you're like, that headline. Look at that picture. I got it. What's going on there?
I know they make it. There's another thing called supernormal stimuli that fucks you up too. And it's like the things that are created now, our brains are from like thousands of years ago, but they're being exposed to Mountain Dew and Flamin' Hot Cheetos, and your brain's like, this is insane. You go crazy. Our brains are made to be like, I'm going to drink water and I like fresh air. And then they're like, here's a new Mountain Dew flavor. And your brain from like thousands of years ago is like, I love this so much because it's so crazy that I want to drink it every single day. So,
right. It's like your brain and your body was like, you have a penis and a vagina to do one specific thing, and you're gonna make a baby. Instead, like it's like watch this quad box of a fucking cum fountain going on. And you're just like, What?
That is a perfect example of that. It's in every facet of our life. Everything that went from.
I'm like, I'm just going crazy, bro.
It went from these are the things you got to do to survive to these are the things that are gonna. There was a quote that I read that it said, "We've gotten too good at pushing our own buttons. We're pushing every button to the max because things are in abundance and these screens are here and porn exists and chili cheese Fritos exist and all this stuff is so much. It's overload, but your brain is trained from thousands of years ago to be like, to survive, I want to get as much of this stuff as I can. It hasn't adjusted to having things at the ready and all the time and as much as you want.
I like that our examples for this have been chili cheese Fritos and a quad box of cum.
That's kind of our lives.
Those are 1 and 2.
That sounds like a weekend.
Yes.
Yeah, man. No, Frankie always does this. He mentions the grid, and then we end up talking about chili cheese Fritos and porn. But
yeah,
it's just good to think about once in a while because
maybe
it's
not
something that's going on in our world. It feels like sometimes we're just fucking skating by, just acting like it's not going to happen.
Another birdie on 11. He's up to T29.
Come on, Alistair.
He's making a run, dude.
Come on, Alistair. This guy's unbelievable.
So he's now within the cut line?
Yeah, he's T29.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah, if he can just play even from here, he should be good.
Why is it 60 degrees in New York today? Come on.
Yeah, dude. All right, let's get out of here, dude. We're just going to not do this podcast right now. We're going to finish. We're done. We talked for an hour, maybe over an hour.
Hour 15.
Yeah. And
happy birthday,
we started to get to the point.
Today's your birthday?
Today's my 29th birthday.
Happy birthday, Dan Rapaport.
Happy birthday, Dan Rapaport.
We're almost
Dan
all
Rapaport.
really washed. We're all after next year. It's going to be tough for us.
You still have a full
30
year in your
30
20s.
plus show.
Yeah, just a bunch of 30-year-old dudes.
Bunch of 30-year-old guys talking about golf. What is that? What even is that?
Are you panicking about 30 incoming, Dan?
This is the first year where I was like, fuck, like slow down. But it's not about me. We're done with the podcast.
I've got a lot of
you for a couple minutes.
I've got a lot of things going on, It's just like life is changing,
Changing.
I had a
What's
party
changing?
the other day. I had a party the other day and multiple couples were like, we're having a baby. Multiple in my, and it's just like, what's happening? Looking around, being like, what happened to the quad box, dude? What happened to the fucking...
Who at this party is still going to the quad box?
Who's going to the quad box? Because I want to fucking talk to you, man. It's just crazy, things are just happening. Then you just think about the future and you're like, it's not even going to be around anymore anyway. So it's like, it's just a dark time, All
right.
I watched The Crown, and at the end of The Crown, everyone watched the last season of The Crown. It's fucking phenomenal viewing. I'm telling you, you're gonna get off on this like historical English shit. I'm telling you, dude, it's great.
I'm gonna check it out.
Oh, just watch the last season, and they get into they do all this new thing.
I'm gonna watch.
Prince William and Prince Harry, and it's just
you can watch that season without watching the previous ones.
Yeah,
okay,
for sure.
All right,
then it might be fun to go back and watch the previous ones. Now that
I find it all extremely interesting. There's a lot of boring shit in there, but this new Princess Diana and then Prince William and how he went to St. Dude, there's a whole season of him at St. Andrews University, and you're like, oh, we were there. Oh yeah, he meets Kate Middleton, and you're just like, how did that happen? Imagine marrying a fucking prince, catching that guy at college. It's like that dude's gonna be king one day. I want to fucking go, try his apple juice. I want to go watch the quad box with that guy.
You want all the people at
college. Of all the people at college, imagine seeing fucking Willie walking by and you're like, oh shit. The queen one day.
The most eligible bachelor on planet Earth, I would
on planet Earth. And he was hot. He was he had the whole little fucking blonde, frosted tips.
His hair's kind of gone the other way now, but
yeah, that's unfortunate. You'd think a guy like that would go plugs.
Everyone thought Harry was the less good looking one. They thought William was the good looking one. And then over the last 10 years, it went like that. It switched.
Oh, and just being number 2, being Harry and knowing you're not going to be the king. It's so hard.
How about Meghan Markle claiming she didn't know who he was when they started dating? When she went to college, she's a totally normal person.
Honestly, the quotes that come out and her whole approach to everything, she's amazing.
Oh, who?
And her family's a mess.
He was H.
Oh.
I want to go home and see my grandma. Like, oh, where does she live?
People forget Ice Bucket Challenge. Rory McIlroy poured a bucket of water all over her.
That's when Rory was the most eligible bachelor in the world. End of 2014, last 2 majors. Guy was the hottest shit on planet Earth. And then Jordan Spieth showed up, and then Rory never won another major. But Rory for that time was, that video of him and Meghan Markle is very interesting.
Pouring just cold, icy water on Meghan Markle. You know?
They're like the top of a Manhattan building. Like, I'm sure they just went their separate ways. I'm sure of it.
Let me just make this quick iPhone video, and then we'll just get out of here.
We're raising money for charity. We're not doing anything else. We're getting out of here.
Unreal.
Well, yep. That is what it is.
All right. Let's shut it down. We'll be back on Thursday. Everybody go watch Sam Burns' video, Squire Creek. Fantastic video. You're going to love it. And we'll be back on Thursday. Hit it hard.
Hit it hard.
Hit it hard.
Hit it hard.